Memories of my mom and my dad. First, I want to start off with my mother because they says, um, even though that God created man first, as far as a man being a gentleman, even opening up the door, the lady is supposed to walk in first. So I'm a gentleman, and so I love hard, and I'm very respectful. Okay, so that's why I want to talk about my mother. My mom was the 13th child biologically to her family and to her mother and father in Oklahoma. So she was the baby, but also, according to some research, I do believe that there was more. So it could be 15 or it could be a little bit more. But anyway, from my aunts and uncles, they tell me that it was 13 children. My mom, she was beautiful, she was loving, she was caring, she was dotting, she was cheerful, she had a beautiful smile, she liked to gesture, she would joke around to make you laugh. And also, she could cook very good. She loved music. During the days of my mom being young, she loved to party. She loved to play games and invite her friends over and just have a good time. I remember growing up in a house where music was in our house. Not only that, but my mother was cook. She was a good cook. Not only that was she a good cook, but she was a person who cleaned up her house. She loved a clean home, and so when it comes down to cleaning, I have that characteristic from my mom. So my mom was a model. She was a secretary. She was one of a kind. She was a great aunt. You know, a lot of people, her nieces and nephews, they called her Auntie LaDonna or Auntie Donna. Like my father, you know, he has a lot of nieces and nephews, so they call him Uncle Mike, you know, or Uncle Big Mike or Michael Dale. These are great memories of my parents. My dad, he was a great man. He was the manager of the Earthquake Gospel Singers in California. He sang with quite a few artists, and my dad sponsored gospel artists and had several programs in California. Dad also was a product of the Daytop Adult Services, Daytop Village Adult Services, and he also worked with Children of the Rock and the city of East Palo Alto, California, to help provide a better place and to help people who was a part of the streets, because my dad was a former drug addict. He had a way of touching and blessing the lives of people. My dad, he loved to dress. He loved singing. He could drive real good, drive real fast. Sometimes he drove too fast. That made me nervous. Dad, he liked to cook. My family has different stories of his cooking, so I'll leave it up to my family. I won't go in all details, but Dad loved going to church. He loved the Lord. He loved the Word. He loved good preaching. He had friends, and he would make friends with any and everybody. He always had an encouraging word. He was gifted and talented as well. My dad had a good public speaking voice. Dad was on the radio, and his father as well, my grandfather, he had a radio station, and he was a broadcast man in California. So as you can see, as far as my work, I'm that third generation, and I'm keeping that legacy and talent going. So I just miss my parents. I miss my father. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I should add while I'm recording and while I'm talking. Dad was a giver. He helped out as many people as he possibly could, just like my mother. She used to open up her home to trusted family members and trusted friends. They would give you their last, just about. Just like I would too, myself. Although we have to use wisdom. My dad believed in God. He was raised in church. And my grandmother, Mother Nadine Johnson, instilled Christian morals in my father and as well as her children. My grandmother had 7 children. My dad's mother, excuse me. And I'll just stop right here because it seems like I'm thinking a little too hard and it seems like I'm a little nervous, but I just wanted to share some great memories of my parents, Michael and LaDonna and Michael Crump Johnson. My mother was married twice, and when she married my father, I had came along as well. They were great parents. They loved their grandchildren as well. They loved their family. And that's the kind of young man that I desire to be. Just like my parents loved the family and our family, I want to love my family when the Lord blesses me, if it's his will. And if he doesn't, that's all right, because my main concern and main thing is going to heaven. I want to go to heaven and see Jesus. And I know a lot of people, they say, man, you're so young. You're always talking about going to heaven. I'm just trying to prepare myself. Life ain't forever. Many things is happening in this world, and the world is getting worse and worse. So I want to be ready when Jesus Christ called my name and number. And even in my sleep, I want all my sins to be forgiven. So when it's time for me to leave and go home to be with Jesus, guess what? I'm ready. I got my ticket. So anyway, I'm going to stop this video. I got things to do. Pray for me, and I'll pray for you. God bless you. Thank you for your time. It's Michael A.C. Johnson Jr. Mike.